One of the greatest sports in the world returns this week with college football finally getting back on our TVs. That is right, and we are going to make some money off this beautiful sport with our week 0 and week 1 best bets. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of IDP Plus Bets. What is up, folks? I'm one of your hosts here, the D-Gen Doc, and more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Just want to point out you have an excellent polo on. I like that.
You've got a nice shirt, too, if you want to show the people. We did not plan this, although it looks like we are nice, cute, and organized.
Right.
This was completely spontaneous. We
Was.
know college football. We're getting ready to dust off our tailgating gear and getting ready to kind of jump through some hoops here.
It's that, telepathy, that
really
Pitt
is.
brother-hood telepathy that we
best thing
established way
is
back when.
We're not talking about Pitt at all on this
No.
episode. So that's even
That's about
funnier.
it.
But we are starting off our new series. We're going to be doing this every single week. We're giving out our college football bets. We are starting with our week 0 and week 1 college football locks, baby. It is going to be great all year. So here's how the format's going to look like. Typically, it'll be a 6-pack. Everybody knows a 6-pack. We all love it. 6 games that we feel best about with our best bets. We're going to be breaking down, giving out all the bets there. We are going to do a lock at the end, which is 2 units. Every other player is going to be 1 unit. We're going to do a lock, a money line dog, and a parlay. Now, this episode, you're in for a little bit of bonus because there's week 0, there's week 1. So we're actually going to do 8 games this week, 2 from week 0 and 6 from week 1. We're going to go through all those games and give out our best bets. And again, at the end, we'll do the lock, dog, and parlay. So we get a little bit of double up this week.
Yep. Just too excited. We had to throw a couple extra bonus games in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to get these plays out now because for most of these teams we're talking about, it will be their first game. So there's really no need to wait on why we would want to get these out there.
Nope.
Before we get to all the picking games, we just got a quick few major injuries we want to talk about that are going to affect kind of the landscape of college football, affect some of these games here. So Alabama running back Jam Miller, projected starting running back, has a collarbone injury. He's going to be out 1 to 2 months. They didn't specifically say if it was a collarbone fracture. Typically, that's kind of what it would be like, maybe a dislocation. But definitely sounds like he's going to miss the early part of the season, which means week 1 game. Now, they do have some depth there, but, let's talk about as he comes back, Jam Miller. What can you expect from him coming back from that collarbone injury?
I mean, he should be about the same guy that he was. I think in general, if this was a quarterback, if this was a guy that's like putting his arm overhead, like collarbone, your clavicle, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
has a lot to do with just arm motion and shoulder motion in general. But as a running back, like we want it high and tight. We don't want that thing moving anyways, right?
Yeah.
So, I think in general, what we usually say is like bones are bones, and if they're healed, they're healed, and we don't really see much of a performance dip. So once he gets back, he should be ready to roll.
Yeah, perfect. Love that. So he will miss some time. You can't rush Bones back, but he should be back to the same player he was when he does hit the field.
Yep.
Now, a guy who unfortunately is not going to be playing this season, Texas Tech starting running back Quinten Joyner, non-contact knee injury, out for the season. So really unfortunate. Texas Tech, one of those up-and-coming teams that are just spending money out the ass.
Yeah.
He will not be there. They're starting running back, so they'll have to look to some backups there for the whole season. So we'll see there. I know you were pretty high on Texas Tech.
Not great for my Texas Tech to make the college football playoff.
Yes.
Bet that I threw out in the preview, but I still have hope. We'll see what some of these younger,
Running
guys
back.
can do, and
keep
rolling with it.
Yeah, at least they know now, beginning of the season, but it is a loss for them. And as Derek alluded to, we did a college football 2025 season preview, gave out some awards, national championship picks, things like that. So definitely we will link that at the end of the episode, but check that out if you have not. Get in your futures win totals before Saturday, before week 0 to make sure you can profit with us there. All right, we are going to now pick some games. We're going to kick this off. But before we do, I got to tell you guys about Bob Lung's Fantasy Football Consistency Guide. Of course, if you love football, you are likely a fantasy football player, and we try to do everything we can to help give you a leg up. And one of that is pushing Bob Lung's Consistency Guide. It will give you a leg up on your opponents. It's his 10th annual edition, not for no reason. That people keep demanding it back. So get yours for a measly $15 on Amazon today. All right, the way we are going to do this, we're going to break down game by game. We're going to go odds here via DraftKings. Just easiest what we use here. Obviously, shop around depending on what you like there as far as what side you're going to fall on. But as a nice template, we're going to use DraftKings here for the season. We are starting with week 0, which is just a couple days away. Really the end of the week here, starting Saturday. And we are starting with the game that is going to kick off the entire season. It is the game in Dublin, Ireland. Dublin, Ireland. And I will say one thing. It's Iowa State taking on Kansas State. I had the great pleasure of going to Ireland over St. Patrick's Day this year in March.
Yeah.
They're advertising this game in March. So, I mean, we'll see. The people, they're going to get this stadium packed. Who knows if they'll have any idea what's going on. But to the Islanders' credit, to the Irish, they were promoting this like months in advance. So
yeah, I hope that it lives up to the game that we had last year in Dublin with Florida State and Georgia Tech. I mean, that was a massive upset to start off the season. Well, I guess you could say massive upset at the time.
At the time, yeah,
I think they went completely south for Florida State after that.
They were like a top 10, top 15 team coming in or something like that. That's great. So Iowa State, they were 11-3 last year, taking on Kansas State, who was 9-4. Iowa State is catching 3 here, plus 130 on the money line, over under sitting at 49.5. Kansas State laying the 3, minus 155 on the money line here. So let's go ahead and break this one down. I will let you start off, my friend. How do you see this game going? What's your take on this Iowa State, Kansas State Big 12 matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas State in this one. I think it ultimately comes down to, yes, both starting quarterbacks are returning, but Iowa State losing their top 2 wide receivers to the NFL, both of them down in Houston now. Obviously, you lose Giddens out of Kansas State as well. But I think just in general, I like that Avery Johnson is that dual threat guy. This is a pretty tight game last year, and neither quarterback really played very well. But I do think that Kansas State is just the overall better team. I like their defense a little bit better than Iowa State. So give me the Wildcats in this one.
Yeah, we're going to start off. Our first picks are going to be on the other side of this. Give me Iowa State plus the 3, minus 110 there. I love Iowa State in this one. They won, in Ames, Iowa, in Ames last year, 29-21 against Kansas State. So it was an 8-point victory. I'm not a huge Avery Johnson guy. That's probably where it really comes down for me. Outside of Manhattan, he's not the same quarterback. So, now they're traveling international. It's not really going to be a home environment for either of them. But I think that, we saw what happened when Avery Johnson went on the road last season where he kind of struggled. Now this Ireland environment, we'll see how that plays out. I do think there is some continuity on both sides, like you mentioned. I think the loss of Giddens is a little bit bigger than the loss of, Higgins and on the other side in the wide receiver core. The quarterback, running back, O-line, they have a lot of continuity with Matt Campbell. This is going to be a tight game. Like these are two very similar teams. They're 2 well-coached teams. They play tough defense. They have solid returning quarterback production. They have really good, head coaches. So in a game that I think is a lot closer to a coin flip, give me the underdog catching the 3 points there in Iowa State. It really kind of was a matchup where I'm going to take the dog, and especially going to take Iowa State, who got the victory just last year. I'm not completely in on Avery Johnson. I still think that outside of Manhattan, there's some things he needs to prove to me. So I will be taking Iowa State, and Derek will be taking Kansas State in this one. We stay to the same day. We are going to Fresno State is heading over to the Kansas Jayhawks there. Same day, Saturday, August 23rd, 6 p.m. Eastern time. You have Kansas breaking in Lincoln Memorial Stadium there. their Memorial Stadium, excuse me, in Lawrence, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a huge game. I mean, I just was seeing pictures of their stadium that they just got renovated. Last season they played all their home games in Arrowhead, which
Right.
is, I'm learning some of the geography now. It's not the same as being on campus, right? It's a decent drive. I'll be heading that way soon out into the Kansas City area. And Lawrence, Kansas, and Arrowhead Stadium, although close, when you start talking about college kids, like there's a huge
Yeah.
difference between traveling even 20, 30 minutes. So I think this is going to be kind of big here. But you got Fresno State, 6-7 last year, heading to Kansas, who was 5-7. Fresno catching 12.5 plus 350 on the money line. Kansas laying 12.5 minus 455. Over under 50.5. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Fresno on this one. I'll take the points at 12.5. I think it's just too much for this Kansas team in week one. I think this is gonna be a lower scoring game just in general, and with that big of a spread, give me Fresno State. I think the big thing for me is Kansas sucked through in with their pass defense last year. Their pass defense was awful,
Right.
and you got a guy out there in Fresno in Warner now. So I think that Fresno State typically plays pretty tough when they jump up to the Power Four
Right.
conferences, and it's just too many points for me. So give me Fresno.
Yeah, look, I think you are correct in saying that Fresno State does play Power Four competition, Power Five competition very well. However, I think that was under the Tedford era, and I think you got a new coach, you've got a new quarterback, and I think it's going to be too much change. You bring over head coach Matt Enns from North Dakota State, who obviously they were a powerhouse. But he
Good.
didn't like you saw some of these other teams. I'm thinking of Southern Mississippi. I'm thinking like Southern Miss and some other teams that took their entire team over. He didn't
Yep.
bring quite as many transfers
No.
with him over from North Dakota State to Fresno State. I think he's going to have a little bit harder of a rebuild. You do have EJ Warner, who was playing at Temple, the son of Kurt Warner there. We'll see there. I just think it's a lot of change. I think Kansas on the other side, you get Jalen Daniels back healthy. That's going to be huge. The both veteran quarterbacks in this one.
Yep.
And they're playing in their actual old stadium, like campus, right? You're playing games on campus. That's what makes college sports, whether it's college basketball, college baseball, college football, the best is that home environment. I know we're going to talk about a game where you're probably going to lean into the home edge there. I think that, look, Kansas, they just got like a $30 million, what was it? Like, not what spot, donation
I
from
think
one of
it's
their alumni. Like, I think Lance Leipold has got this team a little bit reinvigorated. You're right, they were dog shit early on, but 4-2 down the stretch to finish out the year with 3 ranked wins. I think it's a team that comes in with a lot of positive momentum, and I think they put on a show against the Fresno team that just has a lot of change. If it was Tedford and this kind of Fresno team of the past, I think I'm with you. It is, almost a 2-touchdown spread, but I will take Kansas there. So, wow. Starting off week 0 on opposite sides,
right.
just how we like it. So, I actually thought we would have a decent amount of agreement coming in, as we typically do not discuss before because we don't like to bias each other.
Yep.
But hey, that's just
Yep.
how it rolls here. So, that is our week 0 picks. Before we move over to week 1, let me tell you guys about our flagship here, idpplus.com. One, if you're listening to this show right now, thank you. We appreciate any likes, subscribes, comments, any of that. But you probably love football. And if you love football, idpplus.com is the home for you. We have fantasy football. We have the NFL. We have college football. I will do the UFL when it comes out. We have all different types of football. We have defense where we're focused on IDP. We have, somebody's talking about kickers, not us. We don't like kickers, but somebody's talking about kickers. We have offense. Look, if you want to be a better football fan, if you want to be more profitable, better, or if you want to be better at fantasy, you got to head on over to idpplus.com. Join our subscribers only Discord. Get exclusive content for subscribers only. Check it out today, idpplus.com. All right, we're moving on to week 1 here. And we're talking about a nice Friday night game. Everybody,
Right.
like, I can't wait. I mean, this is one, like, I want to take a moment we've been waiting so long to be talking football, getting weekday football,
Yep.
like, we got week 0, week 1, and then we lead into both college and the NFL. Like, this is
Yep.
just a glorious time.
Yeah, and one, thank the, I don't know if it's the ADs or who, but we got a hell of a for week one slate this year. We got a bunch of ranked
Oh yeah,
matchups and just, traditional powerhouses pairing up and going at each other. So
yeah. This was
yeah,
actually a tough like slate to pick as far
yeah.
as what we wanted to break down because
Yeah,
typically
we
in
had
years
9 or 10 games that we were talking about and ended up,
right,
bringing it down to our six pack. But yeah, this is
this
we
is
left
solid.
off some pretty good games.
Yeah, really, really good games here. This is one, you're going across conferences here. We've got Friday night, August 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We are talking Auburn Tigers against the Baylor Bears there. Auburn coming in at 5-7 last year, 8-5 for Baylor on the other way. You have Auburn laying 2.5 as road favorites. They are minus 135 on the money line, where you have Baylor catching 2.5 points. They are plus 114 on the money line as home dogs. Over under sitting at 57.5. How do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, ultimately, I think it's one of those things that just craziness happens in Waco, Texas, and,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
week one on a Friday night. I think that Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers are in for a little bit of a surprise here. I think, or Auburn. Did I say Tigers?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, um,
I mean, if you say Tigers, you're probably covering like 50% of the teams in,
that's
in
fair.
college
That's fair.
football.
But yeah, give me Baylor. I think overall, just the amount of returning production that they have coming back is
Absolutely.
absolutely crazy. Uh, Home field environment, week one, it's always tough to go into an
Hostile.
opposing, stadium, but Waco's just different.
Yeah.
You got uh, quarterback Sawyer Robertson and Aranda, still there. So yeah, give me the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about continuity, 18 returning starters, home field advantage there in Waco, Texas, and I think you have the better coach in Dave Aranda. Auburn's one of those kind of like sexy hype teams that everyone's just
Yeah,
kind of doing up. Look, I know the wide receiver Cam Coleman is a stud, kid's awesome, but
yes.
I think they still have questions at quarterback. I know Jackson Arnold was this 5-star prospect. Everybody was talking about,
Yeah.
hey, Oklahoma, he was this
Well,
huge thing.
Freeze even came out and said, "Well, we might actually play 3 starting quarterbacks in week one," which is absolutely insane.
Yes, we are a strong believer. If you have more, if you don't, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. If you have 3 quarterbacks, you got to see a doctor. I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell's going on there. That would be awful. But yeah, I've seen clips coming out of Auburn that he's clearly not happy with the inconsistencies that Jackson Arnold can
Yeah.
bring there. Yeah, I don't. This is a 5-17 that went 2-6 in conference. You have Hugh Freeze, who's 11-14 at Auburn, only 5-11 in the SEC. I
Yeah.
understand this is not an SEC team, but this is a quality Power Four opponent. I'm sure he picked up a bunch of those easy non-conference wins. I do not think this is one of them. You're heading on the road here. I don't understand why Auburn is even favored. I think this has to
Mhm.
do with a lot of that hype that they're doing. Again, Cam Coleman, a great wide receiver, but I think they got major question marks all over this team, as opposed to a Baylor team 8-5 last year, bringing back 18 starters, has a
Yep.
very rock solid quarterback and head coach situation. So I love Baylor here, catching the 2.5 minus
Yep.
112. So we're finally lockstep, seeing a
That's right.
line there. So it's good to be back there.
We'll
We'll
see
see
if it
how we end up.
continues.
We'll see if it actually continues here. Same night, same time. So we get the dual screens out. You get to hopefully you've got split screen action or just multiple TVs. Not
Right.
opposed to either. We are talking about another very interesting conference kind of non-con game. We've got the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets heading out to Colorado Buffaloes, and they're heading out there to Boulder. And Georgia Tech is a road favorite, laying 4 on the road, minus 112, minus 180 on the money line. Where you have Colorado the Buffs catching 4 at minus 108 and plus 150 on the money line. Over under sitting at 54.5 there. What say you for this one?
Yeah, give me the Buffs at home. Again, I just don't see Georgia Tech, going out towards the West Coast, up in the altitude, and coming home with a victory. I think that Colorado, definitely lost a lot of talent to the draft last year. Obviously, Heisman Trophy winner. Uh,
Yep.
Travis Hunter. You lose your starting quarterback in Shooter Sanders. I think they lost like their top 3 wide receivers last year, but they brought in a ton of dudes from the transfer portal once again. If you look at their projected starting lineup for week 1, across the board, you just see redshirt senior, redshirt senior, redshirt junior, redshirt senior. They have a ton of experience coming into this season. Obviously, we'll have to see if they can kind of mesh as a unit. But give me Coach Prime and the Buffaloes.
Yeah. Look, Colorado 9-4 last year, 7-2 in the Big 12. Georgia Tech 7-6, 5-3 in the ACC. I see this as a difference of continuity, bringing guys back and bringing in a lot of guys in the transfer portal there for Colorado. You talked about they lost Shooter Sanders, they lost Travis Hunter. Coach Prime might have lost a couple more toes there in Colorado, but only 11 starters returning. We got questions at quarterback. They bring in Liberty quarterback Caden Salter, also the freshman, highly recruited freshman Julian Lewis. So they've got some options there, but they haven't exactly named a starter. Unless I missed something, I think that's still kind of to be seen. We'll see if they both see action there. Where on the other side, you've got a very tough and physical ascending team from last season in Georgia Tech. You have the duo of Haynes King and Jamal Haynes, who are both healthy, and they're both running it back. I think this is a situation where Georgia Tech was one of those teams that I felt like they could beat anybody. They came out and they beat Florida State on the road there and starting off, and then
Went to toes with your Bulldogs.
Georgia, not my Bulldogs. No,
Oh,
not my
sorry.
Bulldogs. Those would be my arch rivals there in Georgia. But yeah, no, I think that they're buying into the Brent Key system, and I think that the trenches is something that I can trust a lot more with Georgia Tech. I think we have a lot more variability. To your point, I mean, the years of there being older players on the Colorado side is definitely a plus, but they're not having that continuity together is my concern. So I do think that if this was a game that was in the middle of the season, I would have a little bit of questions for Georgia Tech going on the road there and making that West Coast like travel spot. But with it being week 1, I think they can get out there a little bit earlier, get acclimated. Yeah, right. Anemone. I feel like Nemo. Acclimated out there to the altitude. I'm big on Georgia Tech this year, so they need this one to get off to a good start. So give me Georgia Tech laying the 4. This was one that I did consider. Colorado, it is a good spot for them.
No, I was going back and forth with this one as well, and I just got bit too many times by Coach Prime last year, so I'm going to start off on his side.
Yeah. One thing I will say, which obviously does not help my point, but Georgia Tech was 1-4, it looks like, on the road last year. So they got to figure some of that out. Again, I think that being week 1, it's going to help them to be able to get over there and kind of focus before the grind of the season. But we shall see, because I think that's going to be both those games I'm just super jacked for.
Yeah.
Ones that might fly a little bit under the radar, but they got their own spotlight on Friday night, and I think that's going to be a great doubleheader there. All right, now we're moving over to Saturday, August 30th. We are starting off with a noon kick. For a lot of people, the game of the week, maybe the season. There's a little addition to a graphic, it looks like, on one. So we have the 13-3 Texas Longhorns, who lost in the semifinal to Ohio State last year.
Yep.
Heading up to Columbus, Ohio, to take on, unfortunately, the defending champions, your national champion, Ohio State Buckeyes. Despite losing another one to Michigan, they did win the national championship, which is really what everyone's playing for. So this is going to be an amazing game. You got Texas catching 2.5 on the road. They're plus 105 on the money line, over under 47.5. Ohio State laying 2.5 at home, minus 125 on the money line here. I don't know if I even have to ask you, but are you taking your Buckeyes week 1 to start off?
Hell yeah, I'm taking the Buckeyes. I mean, we're talking about the Buckeyes playing in the shoe. Lock that one up. Yeah, okay. I mean, Ohio State, yes, they lost both their coordinators. They brought in a couple guys. Well, brought in one guy in Matt Patricia that has all kinds of experience calling plays on the defensive side of the ball. And then you just promote Coach Hartline there. That's been a staple in the program, bringing in all kinds of talent for many years.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, from a roster standpoint, like the team's going to look a little bit different. They lost a ton of guys on both sides of the ball. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're any less talented than last year. I think it's just more of a reload for any of these teams that we're going to really be talking about with Texas, Ohio State. Like they just have talented rosters all over the place. But you probably have the best offensive player in college football and best defensive player in college football.
Definitely an argument to be made.
Both on the side of the Buckeyes. Julian Saint's probably going to be making the start, and he's going to be starting his first college football game. The dude's a 5-star transfer quarterback from Alabama. Played in a couple games last year, showed some good things. So yeah, give me the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, look, I can't blame you as a Buckeye homer there. I think you have to take your team until proven otherwise there. This was a tough one as well. I am going to go the Longhorns. I'm going to go Texas. I'm going to go the Arch Manning era starts now. Really, for me, the big difference was I think both offenses have dynamic, very high prospects on either side. Like the offenses, I think, are both going to be able to go. They both are starting essentially first-time quarterbacks. Arch was able to get in there a little bit, but he wasn't the starter. So this, I think that you can't really say that he's super experienced, right? So both men experienced at the quarterback position, both a ton of talent, both at running back, wide receiver, tight end. Obviously, you give the edge at wide receiver to Ohio State, but I think you give the running back edge to Texas there on the other side there. The defenses is the biggest thing for me. Ohio State only turning 3 starters on the defense, where Texas, I believe, is returning 7 returning starters on that defense. They have a ton of projected All-Americans at really every level. Taff in the back end, Anthony Hill at the linebacking, and then Simmons there at the defensive line. So I think that they're really set up on defense to give Ohio State some fits here as they try to figure some things out. And then, those coordinators that you talked about, I think it is big. You got Brian Hartline, calling plays for the first time, or at least being the OC for the first time. And then you talked about Matt Patricia having experience. I don't know how much of that was good experience. He's experienced. He keeps getting a job.
He's got some rings, from back in the day.
Right. Yeah, he's able to ride Bill Belichick's coattails, but I don't think Bill Belichick's walking through those doors at Columbus, Ohio. So it was a tough one. Obviously, this is gonna be a great matchup, but give me Texas catching the 2.5 there. I just think that there's a little bit more turnover in Ohio State. They're a little bit fat and happy. The shoe definitely, gives me some pause. That's a really good home field advantage.
If this was at a neutral site or obviously in Texas, I would, have to go against my fandom a little bit and probably take the Longhorns. But in the shoe, I think it's going to be too much for Arch and the Longhorn offense to really get rolling in week 1.
That's definitely valid. Yeah, I think if it was neutral or definitely in Texas, I think I would call you out on your bias. But no, that's why it's fair. This one is pretty tight. But I do like Texas because I think ultimately the defense. I thought about the under 47.5. I just don't know what that Buckeyes defense is going to look like. Again, both these offenses have all the potential there.
Silver Bullets will be rocking and rolling. We'll be flying around. We'll be good.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I will go Texas, and Derek will go Ohio State there. So we have disagreed on 4 out of the 5 games we've talked about so far.
So far, yeah.
So we'll see if we we continue disagreeing or if we move forward here and get some continuity. We are sticking with Saturday, August 30th. We're moving over to 3:30 Eastern time slot. And we were talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide heading over to Tallahassee to take on the Florida State Seaman Holes. Alabama, they were 9-4 last year, 5-3 in the SEC. Whereas Florida State, I got to be reading this incorrectly. You're telling me big bad Florida State was 2-10, 1-7 in the ACC, and their fans are all up in my mentions talking all this smack about a terrible team in Tallahassee. This is going to be a fun one. You got Alabama laying 13.5 as road favorites, minus 535 on the money line. Florida State catching 13.5 plus 400 on the money line on their side as home dogs. Over under sitting at 50.5. I will give this to you, my friend, who is a lot less biased than I am.
Yeah.
Where are you going with this one between Bama and Florida State?
Yeah, give me the Crimson Tide. I think it's just going to be way too much
Good man.
talent for Florida State. I mean, Alabama's defense is going to be scary this year. I mean, yes, they lost Jahad Campbell to the Eagles in the first round, but other
Right.
than that, like they're bringing back 8 returning starters on defense. They're bringing back a couple stud wide receivers in Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard, but then you
Yeah.
also bring in Horton for Miami.
Yep.
So yes, you're losing Jalen Milroe at the quarterback position that had his ups and downs last year. We'll see, how the incoming quarterback does, but
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those things where on defense, like this defense is going to be nasty. They bring back 3 returning offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Yes, the running back,
Yeah. Miller. Yeah.
man, yeah, he's going to be out for the first month or so, but it's they got a stable of running backs down there in
Oh, yeah.
Alabama. So I'm not too worried. And yes, it's one of the bigger spreads that we're going to be talking about. But yeah, give me the Alabama.
Yeah, under 2 touchdowns. Absolutely give me Alabama. I love Alabama in this game. So, yeah, you got Ty Simpson there. He's going to be making his first start. But I think this is something to be said. Look, Ty Simpson is definitely not as dynamic as Jalen Milroe at the quarterback position,
No.
but he doesn't need to be.
Nope.
Kalen Bauer is a solid coach. In his second
Yep.
year at Washington, he took them to the national championship game with a much less talented roster. You also reunite him with his offensive coordinator and Ryan Grubb. He's tried out the NFL with the Seahawks. He's now coming back to be with DeBauer, who was with him at Washington. So
Yep.
I think when DeBauer has had these solid teams, it's been those pocket passing quarterbacks that fits more of the Ty Simpson mold. Obviously, at Alabama, hugely recruited guy, 5-star prospect, all those things there. You talked about the wide receivers. They do have the stable running backs, offensive line. Yeah. And then let's talk about the other team, the absolute dumpster fire that was Florida State last season, 2-10. And so we've seen this whole Mike Norvell, I'm going to get a bunch of mercenaries in the transfer portal, no love lost, so they don't give a shit. So when things are going good, they're all bought in. We saw it in 2023 with, that team that was really, right outside of the college football playoff. Some might argue they should have made it. I think that the committee made the right decision. But they had Jordan Travis, a guy who had been there, a loyal quarterback. Now you talk about a situation where last season they brought in DJU, absolute mess, dumpster fire, right? As soon as things started going bad, the team quit. It was disastrous. Now you bring in a guy in Thomas Castellanos here. He's on his 3rd team in 4 years. He's only 10-10 as a starter, only 4-8 against the ACC, and he got benched at Boston College. And he's immediately already talking smack about Alabama. He's saying Saban's not there. He's also throwing his old teammates under the bus at Boston College, saying, I had no shot with those guys. Yeah, we're going thumbs down for that one. So look, how can you trust a guy who has fled from 2 different schools already when they get their breaks beaten down in the first quarter, the first half, and things start seeing some adversity? Him and Mark Norvell are not the guys that I want to be leading this locker room. So I think, and then also,
and I think Alabama's just going to be pissed off that they missed the playoff last year. I think DeBoer is going to get those. Yeah, I think DeBoer is going to get these guys rocking and rolling. Yes, they basically just didn't even show up in their bowl game last year.
Right.
So I think
and not a lot of guys transferred out, which is a key sign for some buy-in there, despite kind of getting embarrassed in that, what is it, like Reliance Request Bowl or whatever for
something like that
against Michigan. So the last thing I'll say, if you're worried about FSU, being able to backdoor cover this number, hey, this is a big number. FSU lost by 14 or more 7 times last season. 7 times last season they lost by 14 or more, and I don't even know if they played a team of Alabama's caliber last season. So yeah, this one again, big spread, but I think it's not even big enough. So give me Bama to go into, give us both Bama to go into Florida State and take down those Seaman holes. All right, moving over to the night slate here. Like you said, man, this slate of games is just fucking awesome. So we're wrapping up with our final 2 games, and then we'll go our best bets, locks, dog, parlay. It's the battle of Death Valley. It's the battle of the Tigers. It's the battle of man. This is some 2 really good football teams. You've got LSU, one of the highest teams ranked teams in the nation, heading to Clemson to take on another ranked team. We've got LSU, who was 9-4 last year, and Clemson, who was 10-4. Clemson obviously made the playoffs, wound up losing to Texas after winning the ACC. LSU did not make the playoff last year. You have LSU catching 4 on the road, +4, -112, +140 on the money line, and then Clemson -4, -108, -166 at home. Over under sitting at 57.5, pretty high there. What say
Yeah.
you in the Battle of the Tigers? Who are you rocking with?
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams have obviously well-known coaches, quarterbacks that want to end up winning the Heisman Trophy,
Right.
But give me the Clemson Tigers at
Love it.
home. I think it's just one of those things where Clemson is returning just again a shit ton of guys from last
Yeah.
year, including a couple guys that'll probably be in the top 10, 15 this coming season in the NFL draft on the defensive side of the ball with TJ Parker and Peter Woods. I think it's just going to be way too much for that LSU front, especially trying to work in a new starting tackle. So, yeah, give me Klubnik, give me Dabo at home.
When is the last time LSU has won a game in week 1?
Ooh, it wouldn't be in the Brian Kelly era.
2019. They
Yikes.
beat Georgia State. I was looking because I was like, or Georgia Southern, excuse me, in 2019,
Yeah.
55-3. 2020, lost to Mississippi State by 10. I mean, that's the Mike Leach there. At UCLA, they lost by 11. 2021. 2022, lost against Florida State, neutral site. 2023, lost again against Florida State, neutral site. And then last season, lost on a neutral site to USC. LSU and Brian Kelly are not good week 1, and now they're going to one of the most hostile environments in college football.
Yep.
Absolutely give me the Clemson Tigers at home,
Yep.
-4. We are absolutely aligned there. You talked about it. Number 1 team in returning production. You have Klubnik, who has a chance to be the QB1. I know they're talking about Garrett Nussmeier over there, who's dealing with a little bit of a knee injury. We're not too concerned. You can
Nope.
head back to our season preview for that episode, more on the injury. But this is a damn tough road test. They lost their tight end 1, their wide receiver 1, and their starting left tackle to the draft last season. And the biggest thing is, how can you trust Brian Kelly to fix this defense? I mean, it's been the last 3-4 years where
3 years,
they have
yeah.
the same questions going in every year, and every single time they've disappointed. So
Yep.
I don't understand how, now just because Garrett Nussmeier comes back, that doesn't fix the defense, especially not in Happy Valley. And I mean, if you listen to our season preview for the college football season, we're high on Clemson. That's all I'll say. Check
Yep.
that out to see how high we are on Clemson. But every position across the board, man, they are top 5 in the nation as far as whether it's returning production or prospects, and they've got a solid wide receiver core. I just don't think that LSU is going to be able to stop this team. Meanwhile, Clemson's got one of the better defenses in college football.
Yep.
So we are lockstep on the last 2. We'll see if we finish it out strong here. We've got one more game to talk about, and that is on Sunday night, right before Labor Day there, August 31st. It's taking the place of Sunday Night Football, 7:30 Eastern Time. We've got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish heading to take on the Hurricane down there at Hard Rock Stadium, which you can argue, well, is that their home field? It's a Dolphin Stadium. I think that's one of those that, well, it depends who you're asking, what the fan base is. But you got number 6 Notre Dame taking on number 10 Miami there. Notre Dame, who was 14-2, runner up, just lost in the national championship there against Miami, who was 10-3, 6-2 in the ACC. Very, very fun matchup on Sunday night. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, give me the Fighting Irish. Yes, they do have to break in a new quarterback in CJ Carr, but you got an absolute dog at running back coming back in Jeremiyah Love. He's probably the top running back in the nation going into the season. Up front, Notre Dame's always going to have a solid offensive line, and they will again this year. They're bringing back a bunch of guys that made some key plays last year up front, and guys that stepped in late when some other guys went down. And then defensively, they're going to have a solid unit once again. Yes, they lost Morrison to the draft, but Christian
Right.
Gray is an absolute stud
Yeah.
as well at cornerback. So
Very
yeah,
highly rated. Yeah.
I think that Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish end up winning this one.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, man. You talked about it. Look, there is some turnover there. Obviously, the quarterback position, but what helps a young quarterback? Redshirt freshman and CJ Carr, a great running game. Not
Yep.
only do they have arguably the best running back in the nation in Jeremiyah Love, but they
Yep.
also have some great complementary backs in Jadarian Price and also Nias Williams out of the backfield there. These are three guys that can absolutely produce and probably would be starters on almost every other team in the nation. You've got 14 returning starters there. And on the Miami side, I think you have the coaching advantage with Marcus Freeman. We've
Yep.
seen how Mario Cristobal can just absolutely be mind-numbingly dumb in some of these coaching situations.
And I don't know if we can trust Carson Beck either. Coming over from Georgia, like yes, he had UCL repair. He didn't necessarily have a full Tommy John, but
First game off a major injury, right?
exactly,
And
exactly,
he threw more picks last year than he did in his entire career. I mean, there was people calling for him to get out of Georgia because of the turnover problems.
right.
And then you have a team that, look, yes, Miami, they were a great offense last year, but now you got to change at RB1, you got to change at QB1, you got to change at tight end, and your top three wide receivers, all different, all new, and now you have to figure it out against one of the best defenses in college football's week one. And then they also are leading tackler as well on defense, a defense that was abysmal last season, giving up points all over the place. So you have an offense that has some things that need to figure out, going up against a really good defense. And
Yep.
then, yes, Notre Dame, they have to figure out some things at quarterback, but they got a solid running game, and they're going up against a defense that was very poor. I mean, Miami's offense was national championship caliber good, but that
Yeah.
defense was so bad, they wound up not even making the college football playoff.
Right.
So, and then last thing I'll say on this one, Notre Dame Fighting Irish 4-1 straight up and against the spread in their last 5 games against Miami. You always got to wonder what that crowd's going to look like. Notre Dame travels very well. Miami is a very front-running fan base, so I think they'll be there in support this week. However, I can definitely see, a little bit of a 60-40 split, maybe 70-30, but I do think Notre Dame's going to have fans there. They have one of the
No
best
doubt.
fan bases in the country. So, not exactly a hostile environment with that NFL stadium there at Hard Rock. That is our 6-pack for week 1. We talked about our 2 games in week 0. We are now going to go over and do a best bets and a recap really quick. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at Fast Draft Fantasy. Again, for all my fantasy football folks here, one of the worst things about fantasy football is having to wait on people to draft when the guys you want to trust, the guys that you're targeting, so you can do it right now. And the best way to do that is Fast Draft Fantasy. 20 seconds on the clock. That is all you need to make your picks. No drafts longer than 10 minutes. It is very beautiful, and we'll make this even better with a promo code plus DGenDoc. It's going to get you a $50 deposit match. Download Fast Draft Fantasy, use the promo code plus DGenDoc, deposit $50, and boom, $50 for free today. All right, my friend. I am going to do a quick recap of our picks, and then we are going to do our best bets, lock, moneyline dog, and the parlay to round out the show. So we went through 8 games in this episode, 2 from week 0, 6 from week 1. First matchup, Derek is going with Kansas State laying the 3. I'm going Iowa State plus 3. Next, we have Derek taking Fresno State, catching the 12.5. I'm getting Kansas on the other side, laying the 12.5. He is taking, we're both taking Baylor plus the 2.5 and the Friday night matchup against Auburn. He's taking Colorado plus 4 as a home dogs. I'm taking Georgia Tech as the road favorites. And then moving over to the Saturday slate, he's on Ohio State. I am on Texas. But we rounded out with 3 games. We're on the same side. We're both on Bama laying the 13.5. Both on Clemson -4, and both on Notre Dame laying the 2.5. Now we'll go about our best bets. These are the bets we feel obviously the best about heading into week 1 and week 0 here. So as I mentioned at the top, everything is a 1-unit play. The lock is going to be 2 units. Everything else is assumed to be 1 unit. So I'll let you start off, my friend. What is your lock, dog, and parlay for this week 0 and week 1 slate?
Yeah, so let's go with the lock first. Give me the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to go down to Hard Rock in Miami and get a victory. Cover the spread at minus 2.5.
Yep.
as far as my dog, give me the Colorado Buffaloes on the money line at plus 150 at home. And then my parlay this week is going to be Baylor, Clemson, both on the money line. So I got your, a dog,
Right.
and a favorite, but I took both of them on the money line at plus 242. I probably will play Clemson in the points as well, but strange things happen in Happy Valley, Death Valley, on both at Clemson and LSU. So I did go ahead and just keep it a little bit more simple and took Baylor and Clemson on the money line at plus 242.
Yeah, I do not hate that other than your Colorado play. Obviously, I'm on the other side there. But you were about to mention it. And yeah, give me Clemson as my lock. So I definitely like your parlay there. Clemson -4, minus 108 there. I think that they're one of the best teams in the nation. They're going up against a team that has not won in week 1 in the past 5 years.
Yep.
Again, LSU hasn't won in week 1 since 2019. And now they're playing, probably one of the hardest road tests in college football against a really good team. And then give me Baylor as a small dog at plus 114 there. It's a home dog on Friday night. Waco, Texas is going to be going crazy. Better head coach, more stable quarterback situation, and overall just a better team from last year. It's returning a lot. So give me Baylor on the money line. And then for my parlay, give me Clemson and taking my lock and your lock. Just give me them on the money line. Clemson, Notre Dame, money line parlay at plus 178 there. So yeah, we're both pretty big on Clemson, Notre Dame. You like Colorado. I like Baylor. Well, we both like Baylor. You like Buffalo there, Colorado on the money line. That's it, man, my friend. Solid week 1. Very, very excited for football there. As we said, every single week we're going to be doing this. Except next week because we just did the episode for week 0 and week 1. I'll be out of the country, so Derek may have some things he's going to put out for y'all, so definitely stay tuned there. For everyone who's new to our channel, if you want to make money and have some fun this football season, you're going to want to subscribe to our channel right now. We appreciate all your likes, comments, subscribes. Why don't you tell the people about some of the other things we got going on this channel and IDP Plus?
Yeah, on this channel, on the bet side of things, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a survival guide for survivor plays next week. So if you like to play more of the survivor style, thing, tune in. I'm going to be giving a couple of teams that you could look at in each week to help survive as long as possible, get deep into the NFL season. And then on the bets or the fantasy side of things, we might be doing a little bit of stash 'em kind of episode, especially for dynasty leagues. Those rookies, first year, second year guys that might be gaining some traction, and you will want to have them on your roster sooner rather than later because they're going to get snatched up once this NFL season gets going. So yeah, got all kinds of stuff coming out on bets and IDP Plus fantasy side of things too.
Absolutely. IDP Plus, if you're a fantasy player, whether it's defense or offense, we got a ton of content out there. We got all our rankings out. We got guys that you should be avoiding, guys that you should be getting, some bounce back candidates, all that fun stuff. Check that out over on IDP Plus. And then IDP Bet side, Derek mentioned it. We did a college football season preview. If you want more of the futures and those takes, go ahead and check that out before the season kicks off. And then NFL, he's doing a survivor show next week. We've got 32 team previews. We've got our division previews. We've got everything you could possibly want. So we encourage you to check out the channel. But hey, if you made it to this point, I hope you're excited for the college football season like we are. Football is just a couple days away. Think about how long we've been waiting to say that. Football is finally back. We're going to be giving you the best bets all season long. So join the train today. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know where your allegiance lies. Let us know what plays you're tailing and what ones you may be on the other side. We love to chop it up in the comments there. From Professor Locks and the DGen Doc here at IDP Plus Bets, we are out of here.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.